Hello and welcome to Good Game Live, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a very special guest who kindly agreed to answer questions from goodgame.ru users. The lead game producer for Heroes of the Storm, Kaeo Milker'om, is with us tonight. How are you doing, Kaeo?
Hey, very good. Thank you. How's it going?
Yeah, well, it's going pretty well since you came up. Well, since we don't have much time, unfortunately, let's jump right to the most informative part of our conversation, the questions.
Alright.
Yeah, here goes the first one. In many tournaments, there is a rule that allows teams to ban some heroes because it makes the game more variable and interesting. And in Heroes of the Storm, there was a problem with same picks. Maybe it's time to add this feature into the game, don't you think?
We're definitely talking about bans already, and we introduced our Road to BlizzCon for this year, and we are supporting a ban system for the Road to BlizzCon that will have 2 bans per side. So we're trying that out, and like everything else with the game, I think we're going to be watching that very closely and listening to feedback both from the people participating in the tournament and from the people who are watching it. And so you'll see us react to that as we move forward with it. The plan is that we would add something at least to the custom games menu in the game that supports that system with those bans directly from the game client. That is something that we're working on now for a future update as well. But again, the exact rules of how the bans will work is something that we'll play around with and see what feels good to us.
I'm always surprised how fast and informative your answers are from Blizzard. Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next one. The very first thing to do to support esports is making a good API. Do you plan to make this feature available, well, in the Heroes of the Storm? Because, for example, in Hearthstone, still doesn't have API despite the huge number of tournaments.
So you're talking about like a data API to feed information that's happening from the game externally? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, I guess so.
Okay. There is discussion about what kind of data we would be exposing and in what manner. There are a lot of conversations happening about that right now within Blizzard. I don't have exact timelines of when anything like that would come or what the specifics of it are, since it is so much in discussion still. But that is, like I said, that's another one of these areas where I think we'll be listening to our tournament organizers and streamers and trying to get information on what is valuable to everyone who would be consuming this information, like what's the type of information they're looking for and format of how we can help best provide that to them. So this is one of those things that I think is in the works. Again, no timeline on it. If you guys have specific ideas on it, we'd love to hear it. You can put it on our forums. We also read sites like Reddit and things like that all the time. So anywhere that you put information out there for us, you can rest assured that there are Blizzard people that are gathering that information. And if we don't see it directly, it's usually brought to us by either our community teams or some other teams that are within Blizzard.
So such features depends on the feedback, basically.
Definitely. So there's a combination of what is the community and the streamers and casters and the tournament organizers, what exactly are they looking for? And then there's a balance of what are we able to provide and what timeline, and what sometimes it's about information, what are we comfortable and actually able to provide as well. So there's a balance there that we have to make, but it's definitely something we're really open to, and we're actively discussing that internally right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next question, how many heroes do you plan to present each month or year?
That's a good question. So there's not like a magic number with heroes. I think we've tried a whole bunch of different things throughout the course of our technical alpha and our beta. We had times where we brought 2 heroes out at once just to try to feel like how much does that shake up the game. We have times where heroes have come up a couple weeks apart. We've gone as far as 7 weeks apart on heroes. I think we all agree that that's way too long. We just announced this Eternal Conflict Diablo event that is about to start. We did acknowledge with that heroes are going to be spaced about 3 to 4 weeks apart during that event. And I think that's probably a more comfortable timeline for how frequently it would come in, where you get the excitement of a new hero without being overwhelmed or having the game's meta be completely disrupted by this constant influx of new heroes. So this is something we're going to watch really closely. We'll see across Eternal Conflict and for the rest of this year how the hero cadence is feeling. We'll be, again, listening to feedback from the community. I know in general, those of us who play the game a lot, we kind of feel like, yeah, more heroes, we need more heroes. But there's a balance there. So I think it's something that we're really going to watch very closely and kind of feel out what's right for our game. But there's no magic number. You know, we're clearly going for quality over quantity with these heroes. They each have their own unique talent trees. So this is a little bit more involved than maybe a traditional hero champion would be in another game, because we're kind of custom building a lot of things specific to them. But we're having a lot of fun with it, and I think so far it's felt really good. We just need to get them at a really good cadence here.
Oh, okay. And you mentioned the Diablo 3 Eternal Conflict event, and Blizzard fan also liked it. Why did you choose this universe first, and how did you work on this patch? Were the developers of Diablo involved?
Okay, yeah, good questions again. So, we started Heroes a long time ago. I think everyone knows this. Started out as a mod for StarCraft 2. Our team is actually the team that built StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3, and before that, Warcraft 2. A lot of us worked on World of Warcraft. This is a group of people who worked on the StarCraft and Warcraft franchises extensively over the last 20 years. When we looked at, it was finally time to bring a Blizzard universe into Heroes, which was always our intention, is always something we really wanted to do. But Diablo felt like a really good starting point for us because it is a really distinct universe, and it's also one that we personally haven't been able to work directly on over the years of working at Blizzard. So it was an exciting space to explore. And as I'm sure you're kind of seeing, it's not a direct conversion of Diablo into Heroes. It's really the Nexus version of Diablo, where we're really reinterpreting it and trying to bring in elements that we think are really representative of the franchise, but kind of do a unique Heroes spin on it, so you get to enjoy it in the context of our game. So that was just a fun prospect for us to be able to do that, and I think everyone was really excited to start out with Diablo. Of course, our intention is to visit all of the Blizzard universes, and so our team, is just as excited about Warcraft and StarCraft, and so those things will come in time. I don't have timelines for them, but we'll go there. As far as involvement from the Diablo team, I think we've been really fortunate that we took Heroes of the Storm into take-home testing with Blizzard employees way back, was it July of 2013? So we had an opportunity for our developers to get really invested in this game very early. So we get a ton of feedback from them. We have internal communications where there's giant conversations constantly happening with lots of feedback back and forth about content, about features. So we have a lot of conversations that way with it. There wasn't so much direct involvement, like the Diablo 3 team was not hands-on making this content, but they certainly gave us feedback along the way. And I think we have various individuals on the team that also weigh in on some things as we go along. But largely we get to do our version of it, which is very cool, I think. It's pretty fun.
Okay, the next question about the test server. Many players use the test server PTR to have a look at the new map, and what's most important, to see the scale of incoming changes. But now the choice of talents in the beginning of the game causes inconvenience in testing the game itself. Do you plan to give a full set of talents for all the heroes on PTR?
Definitely. So this was our first public test run that we just ran. It just went over the last week. It's going to end now, basically, because Tuesday the actual patch comes out. But this was our first stab at this, and there was a couple things about it that I think weren't exactly the way we wanted them yet, but as we move into future PTRs, they will be. So we did, I think we put a post out yesterday acknowledging that our intention is that there will be no talent restrictions in the future in PTRs. You'll be able to jump in and all your talents will be available to you, because it is very important to us. It's all about having people test the content and give us feedback and help us find bugs, really. Like, that's really what we're trying to do in the PTR. So that wasn't our intention. It was really an oversight, and we're taking care of it for future PTRs.
The next question is about talents as well. In the new patch, we'll see a great number of changes in talent system of many heroes. How do you make a decision on changing a particular hero? There are talents that evidently imbalance the game, and in this case, the decision is obvious. But what do you depend on in other cases?
Yeah, one of the largest drivers, I think, for when we revisit talents is we're looking at how often a certain talent is selected versus the other ones within that tier. And when we see that there's an overwhelming propensity for people to play the same talent or build a hero a specific way, and that basically almost no one is using the other talent options, those are the ones that I think we usually put the most emphasis on, and we try to get to as quickly as possible to offer more options. I mean, the whole point of the talent system is to offer players a lot of choice and diversity, and ideally, if we do it right, it's actually letting them change the way their hero plays to suit both their play style and also conditions that are going on in their particular game. So they should have options that let them strategically change the way the game plays in that particular game based on their team composition, the enemy team composition, the choices their team's making, the choices their enemy team's making. So we really want you to have options. If at the end of the day everyone picks the same talents for everything, we've failed, and that's totally not our intention. So you can look for us to watch those things closely and react. And sometimes that means we are making new talents entirely, so there are compelling choices. Sometimes we change existing talents. Sometimes we have talents that are so overwhelmingly powerful, we're going to have to knock them down at the same time as bringing up other talents. At the end of the day, we really want to make sure there's a lot of really compelling choices for players, and that we think that they all speak to the kit of that hero and feel right for that hero as well. So it's a difficult balancing act, but I think it's something we take really seriously, and we have dedicated teams of people who just look at that all day long and are really focused on making sure that's the best possible experience.
About the choices, actually, the players have both the maps they love and the maps they hate. Will it be possible to block a certain map? This feature will be useful in tournaments, for example.
Yeah, so what's interesting about that is I think for every person I hear say that they hate a particular map, there's someone on the other end saying how much they love that map. So I think that speaks to our whole point of having multiple battlegrounds, is that it changes your experience up, right? There's variety. You have to play differently. And sometimes your play style dictates that that's not your favorite map to play on, but that doesn't mean that it's not actually a really good map and it offers a lot of compelling things for the game. So one thing we are doing is we're going to be introducing a map rotation into the general game, which means that on a weekly basis, there will be a limited pool of maps that will be played, and then the next week a different pool of maps. Maybe some will stay, some will go, but we're borrowing this system very heavily from what we've been doing in the worlds of StarCraft forever, and Warcraft 3 even, where we had map pools and map rotation that really changed up. Those were seasonal rotations previously. With Heroes, we're trying to make it a lot more frequent to really, again, feed that diversity and the variety that you get in our game. So, we're working on that support right now. I think in an upcoming patch, you'll see that we start doing that. We'll feel out how many battlegrounds feel good in the rotation and which ones come in and out. And I think we'll be looking for a lot of feedback again from players on how that feels. But the end result, I hope, will be that you see some diversity week over week, and maybe that battleground that today you think is not your favorite one, or you wish it was out of the pool, maybe absence will make the heart grow fonder, and a week or two later when it re-enters the pool, you might be like, okay, I could do this one. So we'll be watching that. As far as like banning battlegrounds in tournaments and things, I think we've seen a lot of different tournaments, both the ones that are community driven and the ones that we're starting to organize, have systems where teams get to pick the map, like a winning or losing team will get to pick the next battleground that they play on. I think so far that has been a good way to do it. Like, we're not super excited about saying let's ban a battleground entirely, but again, like everything else, we'll be watching that. If it feels like there's a battleground that's broken, what we really need to do is fix it. And I think that's a little more constrained amount of content to fix than a certain hero, where there's very strategic choices being made canceling out heroes with bans. But battlegrounds, we feel like we value everyone being adaptable in this game, and everyone being able to put a team together, put a comp together, make choices together that battleground to battleground dramatically sway the tide of battle. So it's important to us. We'll watch it. Again, if people have feedback on that as we get deeper, especially into the road to BlizzCon, let's keep an eye on it and see what we need to do there.
Okay, since we touch upon the topic, the tournaments, do you plan to support those who organize Heroes of the Storm tournaments and events like you do with Hearts of Stone, for example?
Definitely. We have a built-in esports team at Blizzard, and they actually sit with us here on the Heroes of the Storm team, but they work on esports across all the Blizzard games. And so this is actually a really big team of people that are completely focused on esports, and they work really closely both with like professional tournament organizers, and they also are in close contact with more of the grassroots and community-driven organizers as well. So I think you'll see, especially now that Heroes is live and we're moving more into like the game is out kind of stage of things, that you'll see a lot more interaction between our esports teams and both our own Road to BlizzCon that is with outside partners and the internal tournaments that we're going to run, and these ones that are run by the community. So I think if there are specific tournaments or community-driven ones you guys see now that you feel like aren't getting support, I would definitely urge anybody involved with those to contact our esports team, because there are people there and we are actively looking at those things, and there's a lot of endeavors underway that I think will help support all the esports scene for Heroes coming straight from Blizzard.
Okay, let's wrap this up with the funny question. Do we have a chance to see the truck from Rock and Roll Racing as the hero of the storm?
So what's really cool about this game is that anything from any Blizzard game, over the last 20 plus years could go into it. Rock and Roll Racing is definitely on the radar. I think there are people on our team, including Sam Didier, our art director, who actually worked on Rock and Roll Racing and made some of that art. And I think we're all excited to visit those things. We already brought the Lost Vikings in, so Blackthorn, Rock and Roll Racing, those early Blizzard games, they definitely are kind of ripe for the picking there. No timeline on that, but I think think we can see that kind of stuff in the game, and it's going to be cool. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that will be awesome. Well, unfortunately, our time is up. Kaeo, thank you for this marvelous interview. I believe we'll see something even more awesome in Heroes of the Storm pretty soon.
Yeah, we're just getting started. I think everyone should remember the game just came out, but it's not done. It's in constant evolution, so look forward to lots of new stuff in the works, and we'll be talking more about more Eternal Conflict stuff very soon.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you like what you've heard. See you next time, and as always, good luck and have fun.